You're casually scrolling through your phone, sipping your morning coffee, unaware that across the globe, warships are positioning themselves, missiles are being armed, and satellites are silently tracking every move. The world stands on the brink of eruption. But if the unimaginable were to occur, if a global war breaks out, which countries would disappear first? Which cities would be engulfed in fire before the world even realized what happened? Some of these nations lie directly on the front lines. Others host foreign military forces, turning their bases into giant bull's eyes. If you happen to live in any of these regions, you're not just living your daily life. You're living on a countdown. This isn't a dystopian fantasy. It's real-world strategy, geography, and an unsettling reality. Let's dive into the 10 countries that would be the earliest targets in a global war scenario. Number 10. Poland. It wouldn't take hours, just minutes, for Poland to be engulfed in flames if a world war erupts. On the surface, it appears to be a peaceful Central European country. But geopolitically, it's sitting on a volatile fault line. American and NATO troops are already stationed throughout Poland, with air bases armed and combat-ready. Ironically, this level of defense also makes it a top target for an adversary aiming for a preemptive strike. With over 36 million citizens and a GDP of approximately $89 billion USD, Poland stands to lose a great deal, and quickly. Its proximity to Russia's heavily militarized Kaliningrad region adds even more risk. While alliances like NATO offer protection, in a first strike scenario, they also put a target on Poland's back. If a European conflict ignites, Poland would likely be among the first to feel its flames. Number 9. Ukraine. Ukraine's ongoing conflict has dominated headlines for years, but the true danger goes far deeper than what's shown. This isn't just a war-torn region, it's ground zero for a potential global escalation. Home to more than 37 million people, many of whom live just miles from hostile military zones, Ukraine remains on the edge of catastrophe. Its GDP stands at $178 billion USD, not an economic giant, but its location is critically strategic and highly contested. Positioned between global alliances and adversaries, Ukraine is already a tense battlefield. In a total war, its infrastructure would likely be obliterated early to prevent either side from gaining a tactical advantage. It's important to remember, the first to fall are often the most significant, not the weakest. Number 8. Lithuania. You might assume a small country comes with smaller risks in global warfare. That assumption could be fatal. Lithuania is one of the most dangerous powder kegs on the planet, at least in the eyes of military strategists. Why? Because of a narrow stretch of land known as the Suwałki Gap, just 60 miles wide, that links NATO countries and separates Belarus from Russia's Kaliningrad. In a European war scenario, the opening act likely wouldn't involve tanks in Paris but rather a lightning strike aimed at this exact region to sever the Baltic states from NATO. With a population of just 2.8 million, Lithuania could be trapped behind enemy lines within moments, leaving civilians no time to flee. Despite a modest GDP of under $88 billion USD, its real vulnerability lies in the lack of deep military infrastructure. There are no large fallback zones or buffer regions. If missiles are launched, they will hit Lithuania in minutes. Complicating matters further, Lithuania is part of both the EU and NATO. An attack here would compel almost the entire Western alliance to respond, turning a regional skirmish into a full-scale global conflict overnight. Global conflict overnight. Number 7. Taiwan. News reports often repeat the same cycle: rising tensions, warships spotted, threats exchange. But beneath those headlines lies a terrifying possibility: Taiwan could disappear within the first minutes of a global conflict. This isn't just a small island off the coast of Asia. It's a keystone in the Pacific strategic puzzle. If global war ignites, Taiwan would almost certainly be among the first flashpoints. Why? Because it lies squarely between two powerful military giants. Its location is pivotal, its technological industry even more so. Taiwan's microchip factories are among the most advanced in the world. Losing them would send shockwaves through the global supply chain, crippling everything from smartphones and cars to defense systems. Home to 23 million people and boasting a GDP of $751 billion USD, Taiwan punches well above its weight economically. However, that prosperity comes at a steep cost. It makes the country a magnet for conflict. Although Taiwan has spent decades preparing for war, most experts agree that in the event of a surprise attack, there may be no time to respond. One wrong radar signal, one misinterpreted move, and this modern democracy could be wiped out in the opening moments of a global war. Number 6. South Korea. South Korea is among the world's most technologically advanced nations. Yet every day, over 51 million people live in a state of quiet uncertainty, knowing that their country could be reduced to rubble in a matter of hours. Located just 35 miles south of the demilitarized zone, Seoul, the capital, is within artillery range of thousands of North Korean guns. In the event of a sudden conflict, military analysts estimate that more than 10,000 shells could bombard Seoul in just the first hour. And that's before considering missiles or airstrikes. With a GDP nearing $1.7 trillion USD, South Korea is one of the top 15 economies globally. But its advanced infrastructure is highly exposed. Ports, factories, and power stations lie within striking distance, and adversaries know exactly where to hit. The grim truth is that South Korea remains technically at war. The Korean War never formally ended, only a ceasefire keeps hostilities at bay. If war breaks out in East Asia, South Korea wouldn't just be involved, it would be devastated almost instantly. With U.S. troops stationed throughout the region, any strike on South Korean soil would pull America into the conflict immediately. So the next time you watch a K-pop video or marvel at Korean innovation, remember that this dynamic, high-tech nation exists on one of the most volatile front lines in modern geopolitics. Number 5. Japan. When people think of Japan, they picture bullet trains, cherry blossoms, and cutting-edge innovation. What most overlook is that Japan is one of the most vulnerable countries in the world if a global war breaks out. Surrounded by increasingly aggressive neighbors, Japan sits at the crossroads of several of the Pacific's most militarized zones. Although it hasn't been involved in a full-scale war since World War II, Japan is now preparing for the unthinkable, a direct hit. With a population exceeding 125 million and a GDP of over $4.4 trillion USD, it's one of the world's most powerful economies. But this success also paints a large target on Japan. The country hosts numerous U.S. military bases, including vital airfields and naval ports. While these installations offer protection, they also make Japan an immediate target in any conflict. Cities like Okinawa, Yokosuka, and even Tokyo could be hit in the opening minutes of a Pacific war. Japan's missile defenses and alliances offer some hope, but in a war where every second counts, even the most advanced systems may not react fast enough to stop a coordinated, multi-directional strike. Japan once rebuilt itself from nuclear devastation. But if history repeats itself, it might not get that chance again. Number 3. Germany. Germany is often seen as one of the most stable nations in Europe, yet beneath that calm exterior lies a startling vulnerability. Situated at the very heart of NATO, Germany isn't just another member of the alliance, it's a central command hub. And in any global conflict, command centers are never left untouched, they're among the first targets. With a population exceeding 84 million and a gross domestic product of over $4.5 trillion USD, Germany is the economic backbone of Europe. But that strength comes with dependencies, fragile networks of energy imports, intricate digital infrastructure, and global trade routes. These could all crumble in an instant under the pressure of war. Additionally, Germany hosts several key United States military installations. Among them, Ramstein Air Base stands out as a critical node for American and NATO operations throughout Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. That alone makes Germany a prime target for any adversary seeking to paralyze Western coordination. While many citizens might believe their country's geographic location offers some protection, the reality is far different. Germany's central position actually increases its strategic value, and therefore, its risk. Should a conflict erupt in Europe, missile strikes on command and control centers, transportation hubs, and communication networks would be immediate. And as NATO responds, Germany would become ground zero for counterstrikes, making it one of the first to face devastation in a full-scale war. Number 2. United States. The United States has long been viewed as the world's most powerful nation, militarily, economically, and technologically. But that status also comes with a heavy price: being a primary target. If a third world war were to erupt, the US would not have the luxury of responding slowly or from a distance. It would be attacked directly and quickly. With a population exceeding 340 million and a gross domestic product of nearly $28 trillion USD, the United States is the engine of the global economy. It has military assets stationed around the globe, from Japan to Germany to the Middle East. This global footprint ensures the US has unparalleled reach, but it also means any conflict involving the US is global from the outset. America's adversaries understand this. They've been planning for it. From nuclear submarines positioned in the Pacific and Atlantic to long-range missile systems and cyberattack strategies, there are detailed blueprints designed to strike American military bases, cities, and infrastructure simultaneously. In such a scenario, coastal cities like New York, Los Angeles, Seattle, and Miami would be early targets, not just for their population densities, but for their economic and symbolic value. Military installations such as the Pentagon, NORAD, and nuclear silos in the Midwest would be high-priority strikes for any opposing force aiming to cripple America's ability to retaliate or coordinate. The very assets that give the U.S. global dominance, its naval fleets, satellite systems, financial centers, and digital infrastructure, would be hunted. While the nation has the most advanced missile defense systems in the world, they are not impenetrable, especially against a multi-directional, simultaneous onslaught. The chilling truth is this: in a world war, the United States would not be a safe haven. It would be a central battlefield. Number 1. North Korea. Topping the list is a country that almost always seems on the brink of conflict: North Korea. It's a place where the threat of war isn't a distant possibility, but an everyday reality. And in a global war scenario, it could be the first nation to ignite, and to be annihilated. With a population of roughly 26 million people and a relatively small GDP, less than $20 billion USD, North Korea isn't a global economic power. But its influence lies not in wealth, but in unpredictability and military capacity. The country maintains one of the largest standing armies in the world and an increasingly capable nuclear arsenal. It has ballistic missiles capable of reaching South Korea, Japan, U.S. territories like Guam, and possibly even the mainland United States. North Korea is surrounded by powerful adversaries: South Korea, Japan, and the United States. Yet it has also built close ties with other major players like China and Russia. This geopolitical positioning makes it both a wild card and a flashpoint. If war were to break out, experts agree that North Korea would likely launch a massive first strike, artillery, missiles, cyberattacks, before it could be neutralized. Seoul, a city of over 10 million people located just 35 miles south of the border, would be within immediate reach of thousands of North Korean guns. The capital could be devastated in the first hour alone. In retaliation, North Korea itself would face an overwhelming barrage. The regime's leadership would be targeted, its nuclear facilities destroyed, and its infrastructure obliterated. But by then, the damage, both regional and global, would already be catastrophic. What makes North Korea the most likely first target is its volatility. One miscalculation, one act of aggression, or one false alarm could unleash a chain of events no one can stop. And when the dust settles, this reclusive nation might no longer exist. If you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to subscribe. These are the stories that often remain buried beneath the headlines, but they reveal how close the world truly stands to the edge. Your support helps us continue to uncover the overlooked truths behind the global tension points that shape our future. As we've explored today, the prospect of a third world war isn't just about military power, it's about geography, alliances, vulnerabilities, and political volatility. The countries we've discussed, whether economic giants like the United States and Germany or isolated regimes like North Korea, each carry a unique risk profile that could place them directly in the line of fire. But remember, this isn't just about strategy maps or headlines. It's about real lives, millions of people who would be affected in an instant if tensions were ever to erupt into full-scale conflict. Understanding these global dynamics isn't just for historians or analysts. It's essential for all of us as citizens of an increasingly fragile world. If you found this video insightful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into geopolitics, global security, and the hidden forces shaping our future. And if you have thoughts, questions, or want us to cover a specific country or scenario next, drop a comment below. Your engagement drives this channel forward.